Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fan Behavior. I am Zoe, and today I am not joined by Hannah, but I am joined by our friend Caitlin. Caitlin, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad that we have a good race to discuss.
I
I was a
am
little
so glad.
concerned.
I know. We
Yeah.
we were talking before the weekend. We were like, hopefully this is a good one for us. And honestly, it
hmm
was.
Yeah. I texted Zoe right after and I said, much to discuss.
Yes. Thank
So,
goodness. And honestly, it's because of all the pit stops. Like the pit
yes.
stops made it interesting.
Oh my
Same cannot
God.
be said for next weekend, I'm sure, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
They did end up changing the rules
They
for next weekend, right?
they
Okay.
did. They
So
did.
potentially it could be somewhat of a repeat, but also I would argue that Kimi pulling off to the side towards the end of the race like really shook things up. So
Exactly.
not just I
Exactly.
mean I guess that impacted the pit stops, but I'll actually pull it back and blame it on Kimi in a positive way, frankly.
Yes, exactly. He did what he
Yeah.
had to do to make the race a little bit more chaotic for us.
Hmm.
Um, okay, I wanted to first start with some stuff that happened pre-race or pre-race weekend, specifically Carlos Sainz at the Cannes Film Festival. What did you think?
I'm not a Carlos girl, all right? I'm
Okay,
just not.
I'm not really either.
I don't dislike him,
Same.
but he's one of those people where I look at him and I'm just like, mm, eh.
He's
Like, and
for
this is in racing, this is in looks, this is in all of the departments, and there's no hate. He's just not my type of dude.
he's just not for you, which is totally fine.
He
That's how
took my breath away.
I felt too.
He took my breath away.
Same.
I felt like I was looking at Princess Diana reincarnated, okay? But I didn't even know anybody else was there. I didn't know Alexandra was there until after the weekend. I didn't know Rebecca was there until, well, not the weekend, until after they were gone. I had no idea. I was just so focused on Carlos being there.
He looks
He just,
great with Eva
phenomenal.
Longoria looking
Hmm.
fantastic. It's always fun to see drivers like out of their comfort zone in a dynamic that's not necessarily like where we typically see them. And Carlos is always kind of a man of like wide-eyed and sort of you know what I mean? Like he's
Confused.
always a little bit
Yes.
confused as to where he
Yes.
is.
But I mean, I would argue that like I think that's what a lot of us were introduced to in terms of like Carlos, especially because so many people got into F1 like when he was at Ferrari. And I've made so many videos about this where like Ferrari very much controls their drivers. Like that is just what they do because they're like one of the last legacy teams that actually like protects legacy. Um, so when he went to Williams, I think this is stuff he's always wanted to do. And I feel like a lot of that like confusion that we've seen has literally been him thinking like, am I allowed to do this? Should I be doing this? And now it's just kind of like, I can do what I want and I'm going to. And we've seen so much more of him this year. And that does make me like him a little bit more and make me really excited for like his fans and everything.
Yes, it is fun when we're kind of getting back to the Carlos of the McLaren days, where
I
he's
agree.
just a little bit more loose and just able to have a little bit more
Loose,
fun.
loose.
You know what I mean?
I love that description.
Yeah.
Loose, Carlos, loose
He's
science.
yeah, he's on the loose and free to do whatever he wants, which
Oh
is
my
great.
God. And he's certainly causing some stirs for people. So
Exactly. Exactly. And then the other thing I thought was just so sweet was Kimi Antonelli inviting his class to the paddock on Thursday. I mean, it was such a good reminder of like, oh my God, yeah, he's so young.
yeah, I didn't know he was still in high school until that one like TikTok surfaced of him in class. And I was floored. Like I thought he would be homeschooled. I was shocked that he was in school, physically in the school.
Yeah.
And my best friend's a teacher, and she made a very good point that he likely didn't choose to bring his entire class. His teacher said, I will pass you if you bring the entire class. I don't have to worry about a lesson plan for this week because they're going to learn so much in the paddock, which is true. Like, I'm sure
Field trip.
they genuinely probably learned a lot. Like, I'm sure different people from the team talked to them and, talked about aero and tech and business and all of the things. So, like, definitely a useful lesson. But there's no way that man chose to bring them to work with him. I'm sorry. I'm
I mean, you
sorry.
never know. You never know.
I was a senior in high school once. I would have never done that.
Well,
Like
Kimmy's
ever.
also in a very unique situation, you know?
Fair.
I did see people saying like his greatest achievement, forget the youngest pole sitter. It was getting a group of Italians to all wear Mercedes gear.
Mercedes. Yes.
I
I
was like,
remember
that's true.
today, I think it was like lap. I don't know, like 20, and they like panned to the crowd, and it was just all Ferrari and one giant
Yes.
Mercedes flag. And I forgot who said it on the broadcast, but they were like, in years past, that would have been, a threat on your life to do that. At least they have Kimi now to bring the Mercedes flag out.
I know. Good. I mean, it wasn't a great weekend for Kimi, but it's
Not at
okay.
all.
It's
He's never
okay.
bringing his friends to work ever again. Ever again.
They're they're no longer invited to the paddock.
Oh, no.
Was there anything else pre-weekend that you wanted to discuss before we jumped into quali and all that good stuff?
I do actually. So obviously, like I love Franco Colapinto a lot. I do. But the whole Franco Yuki online situation, obviously not them doing anything. Like they didn't do anything wrong as drivers, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love fandom. I do. I love fandom from all over. I think it is so beautiful how a lot of South American countries, Central American countries, Mexico are so in love with their drivers. But I am also an IndyCar fan. So I have seen and been through the Argentinian fan phase where like they go to another level that is not okay.
No.
And I
Some
love
of them
Franco
do.
so much. Some
Some
of
of
them
them.
do. Obviously, not
Yes.
most of them. Not
Yes.
most of them. They are like the loveliest human beings because I always say nice things about Franco online. And they at one point were calling me La Reina, which is like the princess or the queen. Yes, I talked about Franco. Um, but wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that stuff happened after FP1, I
Oh,
believe, or
right, right,
FP
right, right.
FP2, whenever that was with Yuki and their, little situation on the track. And I did see that, Yuki came out and talked about it and basically said the same thing that you're saying, which is just like, it's great to be passionate. It's great to have like excitement for your driver, but there is a line that shouldn't be crossed. And then Franco also came out and said basically the same thing too. And like,
Yeah.
great to have passion, great to be excited, but also there's a way to support me, and then there's a way that you should not support me. And
Yeah.
I
And
just
I
think,
honestly, I think Franco has been very like vocal about that, especially like last year when they were talking. He was talking about merch, I believe. And he was saying, like, do not buy Williams merch. Like, I know that like a lot of these,
mm,
prices of merch are so expensive. Go buy the booth merch online, go do that, like make your own. And I do love how he knows the type of fandom that he, represents and in many different ways and how he addresses them in a special way that maybe other drivers aren't. I absolutely love that.
yeah,
I just wanted to give his I just forgot the word I was going to say.
give
Give
him his
him
flowers.
kudos.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
yes.
you. That's what I was going to say. And then cereal was the word that popped in my brain.
I mean, that's good
So
too. Give him his cereal.
if he
Uh,
wants cereal, I'm
yeah,
also being stared at by this while I'm saying it.
I love that.
Forbes Mexico cover
Love
from
it.
last year.
Love it. Okay, well, let's just get to qualifying because I was immediately heartbroken at the start of qualifying when Yuki, well, it was interesting because we first just see him kind of up against the barrier. And it
Yeah.
obviously looked bad, but you didn't know the extent. And then we see the replay, and it was so bad, so scary. Thank God for the halo. I mean, it was probably the worst crash we've seen since Joe Guan Yu, I would
Silverstone
say.
22. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was sitting in bed. I'm gesturing behind me because it's behind me, with my friend, and we were watching it, and we were like, "Oh no, Yuki! Like he drifted off. Like that sucks." And then we watched the replay, and we both just sat bolt upright in bed, and we were like, "Oh my god! Like that was so bad. That was terrible." And
So
the
scary.
way that he was just able to get out and walk away,
I know. Well,
he
that's
was
the
totally fine.
thing. I think we saw him get out before we saw the replay. And so then once
Mm-hmm.
we saw the replay, I was like,
We're
how was
like,
he even able to walk away from that totally fine?
my legs would be buckling. There's no way. If not from like the actual impacts, then like the like I would be freaking out. There's
You're
no
s-
way.
yeah, you're so like shaken up and
Yeah.
I don't know. That was I mean, I was obviously disappointed because I feel like with that second Red Bull seat, just every race, every performance, every qualifying matters so much. And so it was like, "Ugh, really, this has to happen."
Yeah.
But then ultimately, obviously, the priority is that he's okay. And so I was like,
Yeah.
well, at least he's okay. It's going to be a long night for the mechanics, but
Yeah.
that's the number one priority.
And you know what? He got back out there and he did well today.
We got a
So
point.
that's yeah, exactly.
So it
Like
was it was
he
okay.
he could have maybe scored more points if that didn't happen, like made it through to Q3, etc. But he still made up ground and did what he had to do. He scored a point for the team. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So then we have the red flag. Then we get back started up again, and then another crash. And who is
It's the
it?
other person that has so much to prove this weekend.
Exactly. Franco
Oh,
crashes. And that was tough again because it's like, of course, they cut to Jack doing, which was not like an immediate reaction. It was him probably like earlier in the day walking through the
mhm.
paddock, but that's just
Yeah,
what Formula One does, you
of
know?
course. I have
Um,
thoughts about that. We can definitely dive into
yeah,
that
please
later.
share.
But oh, okay, we can do it now. I think the way that Formula One specifically has been covering races, whether it's on Sky Sports, F1 TV, does not matter. I've noticed it a lot more this season and the end of last season. It's so biased. The commentary is biased. What we're seeing is biased. I know there was a lot of conversation online, and it was specifically aimed at British media. But I think it's the media in general. They're like the Drive to Survive headlines and storylines are selling, so we're going to start doing that to actual live races. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to see Jack Doohan on camera after Franco crashes. That is just, I,
Well,
why? What's the point?
it reminds me of last year when like if Daniel had an issue, they'd cut to Liam Lawson or like
Yes.
Checo, they'd cut to,
Cut to
like
Liam Lawson.
yeah, whoever. Like it was always
Yeah.
kind of like, here's the guy that could potentially be replacing you, you know?
Yes. But it's
Which
like, why is that necessary during coverage? Maybe in a social media clip, maybe on TikTok, maybe on Instagram, but why is that necessary during live coverage when people are literally watching for the race?
I know
That's my argument.
it is hard. I mean, I definitely see what you're saying and I agree, but also it's like in their mind, it's a television show that they are producing. And so it's all about, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's sort of the like logic behind it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely you have to like I think we're all at this stage too where we see it. Like we don't fall for it anymore. We
No,
call it
we
out. We're
clock
like,
it. Like we know
yes.
what's happening. Like we know it's coming. Like the second something happens with Franco for the next few races, we know it's going to cut automatically to Jack
Right.
Doohan. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's
It's just how it
just
goes.
it is how it goes. I just like I think there's like a little semblance of professionalism that's
Yes.
gone out the window. And I'm a Drive to Survive fan, frankly, like 100%. But like when people now say like, oh, you're just a DTS fan, it makes me think of this, like specifically this, and
Yes.
it really
It's all
annoys
about the
me.
storyline.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it shouldn't be during a live race. I understand DTS is, I understand, much of journalism is about just the storyline, but not
Yeah.
when we're watching a live race. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Or qualifying. Yeah.
Um, we then had the Ollie Bierman sort of debacle of did he make it to the line in
Mm-hmm.
time to get his
Mm-hmm.
time in? Did he not?
Yeah.
They took forever to figure that one out. I
Yeah.
still feel like the whole argument was, well, the red flag may have come out before the light showed that it was a red flag, and so he was late to the line,
Mm-hmm.
but I
But
don't
like, did
know.
he know he
Did
was
he
late? Like, was he
know?
able to react that fast?
But does
Yeah.
it matter
Yeah.
if he
And I
didn't
think it was
know?
like 4 thousandths of a second of difference between when he started his lap and like when the red flag had been, the lights had shown. And I know they put out the number. I just don't obviously know it off the top of my head, but it was so close that it was kind of like, okay, just let him go. Like
Well,
it was that close.
it's also interesting with F1 as opposed to something like IndyCar, which I still am of the belief that if you cause a red flag, you should lose your time and you
I
should
agree.
be I just think that that's
Yeah.
and it's just I
Yeah.
get all the different arguments, but I do think that Franco should not have made it through to Q2 after he
No.
crashed in
And then
Q1.
just sits there because he can't drive. He can't even, it's almost like, and I don't want to say it like this because again, I love Franco and, I don't mean it like this, but it's like you're wasting a spot.
Well, no, yeah, yeah. I mean but that's how it would be for any driver who would,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
Yuki had gotten a lap in Q1 and then ended up crashing, I'd feel the same way. And he's, one of my favorite drivers. So I just
Yeah,
think
exactly.
I just think it should be punished a little bit harsher, especially like in Monaco, we see it a lot where a driver will crash to get and then
And
they
it ruins the whole
pull,
race for everybody. It
but they
ruins the whole
keep pole
qualifying session for everybody.
position or
Yeah.
they keep yeah. So I just think that should be something that maybe could be looked into a little bit more going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Um,
I don't think anybody's doing this, but like when I think about Monaco, I think let's say somebody who is unlikely to make it through to Q3 puts in a really good lap and then they intentionally crash just to
right.
keep that position because it's Monaco and it
Yeah.
helps them.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone's done that. And that would be like really, that would be absurd. But
It's
frankly, I would do
possible.
it.
Yeah,
I
of
would do it.
course.
I don't know.
It's
I'm
a
just saying.
strategy call. It's a strategy
Yeah.
call. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So anyway, bummer for Ollie. Tough, but he did. I guess he didn't do that well today. But
No, he didn't.
Haas was
He
struggling.
did you see the graphic when they were under the second red flag, or not red, full safety car, and he was just they were all here,
Oh,
and he was just like all the way on the other end. He
yeah,
was in another town. He
yeah. He
wasn't
had to
even on the
unlap
track.
himself.
Yeah, it was
Um,
just so funny. I felt bad. I do like Ollie a lot, but I was like, oh no.
I know. That was funny.
Mhm.
And then just to pour, another just tough outing was then we had the loss of Kimi in Q2 and both
Both for
Ferraris. It was just like
who
all the
cursed the
Italians
Italians?
were just
Who
like
cursed them?
so bad.
I
So
I
bad.
want to know who did some witchcraft before the race and or before qualifying and was like everybody that like you want to do well this race they're not going to at least during qualifying because
Right.
obviously we'll talk about the race but Ferrari made up for it
Right.
so
Yeah. It was
I
weird.
want to know like who did they make mad I
It,
want to know.
it was weird because I feel like they definitely had a lot of race pace today. Like they were good in race
Mhm.
pace, but their qualifying just was not very
Yeah,
good.
right.
Frustrating.
I would say and again, we'll get into this. They had decent race pace. I think the strategy, oddly enough, today was phenomenal. It
Especially
was
for Lewis.
phenomenal from Ferrari. And it might have just been an accidental, like they kind of fell into a good strategy based on like well-timed safety cars, et cetera. But like it was a lot of really good strategy calls where like the early pit that Charles did and that ended up pushing him like way forward in the order and I think that's really what started it all and of course yes they were driving well but
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then we had Aston Martin, both Astons make it into Q3. Fernando was P5, Lance was, I think, P8. Like that was
Yeah.
didn't end up doing much for them in the race. That was a whole other story, but it was pretty impressive. They brought big upgrades for this race
Mhm.
weekend, and I mean, it paid off in the qualifying.
Right, exactly. And I think I don't know how much Adrian Newey is now involved in any car development. I know he was supposed to focus on 2026, but something tells me they looked at him and they said, "Can you give us like a week of your time? I know you're focusing on next year, but just a week of your time because this is embarrassing for all of us." The upgrades clearly worked. I did not look at what the upgrades were, frankly. I should have done that,
It's
but
okay.
happy for Fernando.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Period.
it was good to see them at least. I mean, again, it's always hard to judge qualifying when we then know what happened in the race itself, but like in terms of a qualifying performance, it was very strong.
Right.
Williams again very strong, Isaac Hadjar very strong once again. Like it was
Mhm.
fun to see. I think the thing that I appreciated was there was a lot of different teams and different drivers in Q3. It wasn't just like your standard, okay, both of the Red Bulls, both of the McLarens, both of the Ferraris. Like
Yeah.
we mix it up a little bit, and I think that's always
Yeah.
fun.
I think we have been honestly mixing it up a lot. And I wouldn't even say that this is mixing it up per se, but like he's been in Q3 a lot.
He
Like
has.
I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's like it is like to them, they're like, oh yeah, V Carb in Q3 is mixing it up, but like he's been doing it a lot,
He has.
and same thing with Pierre Gasly being in Q3. He's
Yep.
done it a number of times. That's not shocking anymore.
Yep.
If a steak made it through to Q3, that, I'd be a little thrown. Okay. And I'd ask what happened and rewatched to make sure I didn't miss
But
something.
even if that happened, it's not like so your jaw's not on the floor like it would have been a couple years ago or something.
Right.
Like Esteban made it into Q3 last week or last time in Miami, I think, or wherever we were. Like,
Yeah. Miami.
like I just feel like there's just a lot more happening. Every team has
Mhm.
gotten points. Like,
Yeah.
we're just in that phase where you
Has
don't
every team gotten
actually,
points? Did Stake score a point?
yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Like in the first few races, I think Nico scored like a good like 6 points.
Oh, yes. I'm thinking about like individuals
Oh,
who have not scored
yeah, no,
points.
there
That's
is
why.
still drivers that haven't scored points, but every team at least has gotten on the board, which is good. And then we had the battle for pole position, and Oscar eked it out.
I know. I love that man.
And me too. Oscar's the best. Max in P2, George in P3. George is just consistently doing what he has to do.
And yet
Max.
nobody's talking about it.
It's
No
like
one's
it's all
talking
funny.
about
Everyone
it.
keeps talking about it in the sense of like, oh my God, George again. Like everyone's a little bit not surprised, but kind of like George snuck in there. George got in there again. Whereas I
Yeah.
feel like the reality is George is just doing a really good
Good.
job.
He's not a bad driver. He's never been a bad driver.
No.
He just annoys people. His PR sucks. His image sucks. But like it doesn't even suck. People just don't relate to him.
Yeah,
But he's a great driver. And no
very,
one has
very
ever
good.
claimed he was a bad driver,
Yeah,
except for when, last lap right into the wall,
yeah,
but we'll never forget that.
yeah,
But he's a good driver.
yeah.
He's Mr. Consistency this year. And I used to have Carlos used to have that title for me, but he's Mr. Consistency. So
100%.
yeah,
100%. Okay, let's just get to the race if
mm,
you are down to talk about the
let's.
race.
What if I said no?
You're like, let's skip the race.
No, I don't want to
Um,
talk about it.
First lap, Max passes Oscar. Honestly, like Max proved that
Clean.
move proved GOAT status, fantastic.
I'm usually unhappy about like Max doing anything well. Not against him. I think he's totally fine person. I
Yes,
think he's super funny, he's super nice, whatever. But I was like kind of thrilled. Like that was a
it was
fabulous move, number
exciting.
one. Number two, I feel like we're entering that like 1/3 of the way through the season era where it's like I don't want McLaren to win every single week. I love McLaren. I love Oscar specifically, but I'm like, this is just going to end up being a Max Verstappen 2023 thing again if they just keep swapping wins. And it's not like they're skilled and they have a good car. So, like, theoretically, yeah, that makes sense. But at the same time, like, I want to see Max win sometimes. I do.
Yeah,
I want it
it's
to be a
fun.
battle. I want it
Yes,
to be a battle and not between two teammates, even though that's what's going to happen for sure. I want to see it between two teams for
yes.
once.
And also like the championship now, I mean, George is still, like in it. I mean, one good race weekend for George could totally throw him right in the fight. Max,
Right.
Lando, Oscar, like that is what we want is like a real battle for the championship
Mm-hmm.
and not just between teammates. And I think we're going to get that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this reminds me of Alex Blow, obviously, over in IndyCar. Not talking about this season, but in prior seasons, he hasn't won a lot. Like he doesn't win a lot of races, but he's been their champion 2 years in a row now, going on a third, or 3 years in a row going on a fourth. If I'm just forgetting numbers. But like he was just consistently like on the podium and ended up winning by like a giant margin because that's all it takes is being consistent. And if these other people are swapping around enough, you eke through and suddenly it's like, whoa, how is George Russell like P2 in the championship? You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I said, not to toot my own horn, but before the season began, what I said was the person that's going to win the championship is the person that maybe doesn't have the most wins, but is most consistently on the podium because people are going to be changing around. There's going to be things that happen, but if you're consistently towards the top, that's going to really benefit you.
Right.
Besides having like
Right.
one amazing race and then one really bad race. And then, you know what I mean? Like the
Mm-hmm.
ping ponging back and forth. So
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the points right now because I wanted to know the actual numbers. And frankly, so George is 25 points behind Max. It literally takes one
Yep.
DNF for Max to fall behind George.
Yes. And George win. Yeah.
And George win, but like
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's they are not far. Well, obviously
No.
Oscar, Lando, and Max are extremely close. Like they're separated by 12 points in total. But then George is right there, and there's a huge gap to Charles and Ferrari like after that. So it's really those four as long as George keeps it up. Especially knowing our history between like Max and Lando and just Max and McLaren in general, like there's bound to be a crash at some point. Knock on wood. I don't want that, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. And like we saw it even last year too. I mean, McLaren won their first race in Miami last year, which was like well into the season. And then they
yeah,
like sailed away with the Constructors' Championship. So anything's possible. We have to just believe it.
yeah.
Um,
I'm Tinkerbell actually. And she
exactly.
was a fairy.
So then it became this whole debate as to whether or not teams and drivers should do a one stop or a two stop race. Oscar was kind of complaining about his tires. He kind of attempts or he starts to do the two stop. Charles Leclerc, same thing. Great undercut for Charles Leclerc. But also then it was like, well, he's going to have to pit again. You know, it was that whole
Yeah,
battle of like, do you pit and go for the two stop or do you just stick it out and go for the one stop?
right.
And and then we get the perfectly timed safety car. Well, not so perfectly timed for Lando Norris. He pitted
No.
right before the safety car.
I literally
Esteban.
closed my laptop for a solid like lap, I think, and then reopened it. Not that I'm a Lando fan. I just knew what the Lando fans would say and
Oh,
also how he would react to that. And I was like,
it actually, I feel like it was, well, it all worked out for him in the
yeah,
end.
no, it ended up being fine. But in
Yeah.
that moment, I was like, you've got to be
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But that
kidding.
safety car definitely benefited Max, definitely benefited Lewis. There were a couple
Yeah.
driver, Alex Albon, a
Oh,
couple drivers who really were like it was paid off perfectly for them. So happy for them. Charles Leclerc, not happy.
He hasn't been happy at all. Like I feel like he could win a race at this point and then be like, "Oh, the strategy is so bad. What are you doing to me, guys? I don't know what you are doing to me, guys."
And
And he would be like standing on the top step, and it's like, dude,
he
like get a
believes
therapist.
he believes he's so unlucky. Like he says it. Like, why am I so unlucky? And I'm like, you need to stop the negative self-talk. You
He's
need to
manifesting it.
yes, you need to
Yes.
believe that anything is possible for you. You need to speak positive words.
Yes, literally. And I think the same thing is true for Lando, especially,
Yeah.
like in those moments where he's so hard on himself. But Lando's much more self-aware of it, at least, where he's like, I know I shouldn't be doing this. And I
Mm,
know I need to like reset my mindset. This was more last year than this year. But I remember those conversations he's had, like very slightly touching on mental health without saying the words, where he's like, I need to work on this because I can't keep dogging on myself. It's not going to help me. But then there's Charles saying that like he's the unluckiest person on this planet every single weekend, and it's like, sir, I fear you're doing this to yourself.
now
I'm
it
sorry,
wasn't
and I
like
love
he was,
Charles.
yeah, he wasn't wrong. Like it was an unlucky pit, like it was unlucky for him, but he just needs to. I mean, and this is what they said on the broadcast. Like sometimes these things work in your favor, and sometimes they don't. Like that's just how racing goes, and you just
Yeah.
can't do anything about it. You know, control what you can control. But then we thought maybe, well, I thought for a second, like Alex Albon podium.
Oh, I thought it. Oh, I thought it. And I would have gotten on my hands and knees and done anything. I was walking from getting coffee. And when I like looked down at the, like where he was in the order, I was like, oh, and I just stopped. I just stopped on the sidewalk and just watched it for a second, then kept going, obviously. But I was like, I will roll down Houston if anybody lives in New York, you know what I mean. I will roll down Houston naked if he got a podium
I
again,
think it's going to
obviously.
happen this
Yeah,
year. I
yeah.
think it
I'm gonna
will.
say Spain because I'm gonna be there.
Yes, manifest. As we said,
Yeah,
we have to speak positive thoughts. No, I
yeah.
think it really will happen. I think that Williams is like not just it's not just a surprising performance here and there. They are legit good, and I think he's
My
gonna get it.
shameless.
Um,
I made a video a couple weeks ago where it's like you can be a fan of any team on the grid, any driver on the grid, and somehow you're still rooting for Williams. Like it is just a fact of life.
yeah,
Like everybody wants them or has wanted to see this like re-rise, I guess, back to being a good team.
yep.
And they're there. They're there. And I'm very, very, very happy for them. I will say one concern I do have, and I don't know if like you've thought about this at all, is like most of the teams obviously have said, like, yes, they developed a good car this year, whatever, or attempted to, but they're doing still a lot of focus has been on 2026. And I'm like a little worried that Williams focused a bit too much on 2025 and providing a good car for Carlos, and now like might struggle in 2026 because they didn't siphon the resources over to like
Mm,
that new development. It's just something I've thought about a few times.
yeah,
I would like they know what they're doing.
they
James
do.
Falls knows what he's doing, frankly. Like he hasn't done a bad job leading that team at all. As a matter of fact, he's done a great job leading that team for the most part. But I am a little concerned that he was a little too focused on his yearning for Carlos.
We'll have
Yeah,
to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I feel like next year it's going to be so interesting to see
yeah.
what happens there, like what team ends up showing the best, performance right
Technically,
away.
two new teams,
Yeah.
one and a half. I'll give them one and a half new teams, but like,
Yeah, anything's possible.
it's gonna be
Anything's
so
possible.
exciting.
Well, Oscar did catch Alex pretty easily. Like I was
Yeah.
surprised as to how quick Oscar ended up passing Alex. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a battle there, but
I don't
then
think
we
Alex was not bad. He was like, my race is not with
yeah,
Oscar. I think he knew at that point, like his tires were falling off. Like it just wasn't going to happen for him. But I mean, he definitely stuck his elbows out for the Ferraris.
yep.
He was not having that. He was like, Oscar, you go, King. I don't care. And the rest of them, like, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Well, then we get the Kimi, this which I was obviously very
Yeah.
sad about. The Kimi DNF, a perfectly timed safety car. Not so much perfect. I mean, depending on who you wanted to
Who
do
you
well.
were, perfectly timed.
Yeah, it was
Not for Charles Leclerc.
good as a fan.
Yeah.
It was a good because it was still with plenty of time for there to be enough racing after the safety car came in.
Right.
Some
A
drivers
lot of
pitted.
strategy, a
Yes.
lot of strategy, oh, like all strategy. That was like the biggest, calls somebody could have made then and would have made or break their broke. Wow, made or broke their race.
Yeah.
There we
And
go.
Max pits, Lando pits,
Yeah,
Alex pits. Not Charlotte Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, I
Nope.
believe, pitted. Charlotte
Yep.
Leclerc did not pit. Oscar Piastri did not pit. Those were the two big ones that did not pit. And you kind of knew Oscar was a sitting duck in a lot of ways. I think this is a question we got a lot, and we can talk about it now too. But
Okay.
people were like, could Lando have caught Max if they had swapped the drivers? And
No.
I don't think he would have. And also
No.
too, and I said this, and I have admitted that I'm a more of an Oscar fan than a Lando fan, so I
Yeah.
probably come
Me
at
too.
things with an Oscar bias. But I have said in the past, I said this back in Japan when it was Lando in front and Oscar back, that like given the fact that look, both of their drivers are fighting for a drivers' championship, they're not in a position now, in my opinion, where they should be swapping drivers. Like
I agree.
it's they're fighting
I
for a
agree.
championship. So it's like,
They are at the end of the day exactly that. Like they're fighting for a championship, and they also know they haven't crashed yet. It's not like Oscar and Lando have impeded each other's races,
right,
other than Oscar's going slower than Lando, and Lando would like to be in front. They're not crashing into each other. They're not damaging the car. So let them fight. And
let
again,
them
I'm more
race.
of an Oscar fan too. But at the end of the day, the faster car will pass, and I
Yes.
fully agree that on that. Like
Yeah.
that's it. They're gonna win the constructors championship if they keep going the way that they're going.
Yes.
And unless and until their battle between each other starts impacting that and impeding that, progress towards that championship, there's no need to call team orders on anything or
It's also
swap them
like if it happened, let's say it was Williams, it was Carlos and Alex, right? And they haven't won a race in forever. And it's like this is our chance to potentially get a win that we haven't gotten in years. Like, okay, I could understand that perspective. But like again, to your point, McLaren's won a bunch of races. It's not like they need to, jump ahead in the constructors. They already have that. Like, let them fight. And they proved it. They did it on the track. Lando passed Oscar. Like, I don't know. I had zero problem with that, and I don't think there will be any. I've said this. I don't think there will be any team orders business until it is clear that one driver is definitely out of the championship fight.
Yes, I so agree.
Otherwise,
And right now, that is not the case. We're
not
7 races in.
not the case even at all. So
No.
fight on track. I don't care who it is. If it's Oscar
Yeah.
in front, Lando in front,
Yeah.
that's been my
Call me
position.
back when we're in the American leg again, and
Yes.
then we can
Yes.
have this conversation. We can rehash this. But like you and I agree on this. I'm like, unless they are breaking the cars and costing the team money, there's no point. Just
Right.
let it rock. Let it rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had the Alex and Charlotte Claire battle, as you mentioned, which was spicy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm curious. It was interesting the Alex and Charles battle where Alex went off into the gravel and then they told Charles Leclerc to give the position back to Alex.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't know if that was a Charles Leclerc penalty.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed just like it was just track. Like
I
it
know.
was a racing incident. Like I don't know that they like needed to do that. And obviously Charles like ended up becoming very upset about like he wasn't saying it was about that, but I think there was like a radio left out of there where he was like, I didn't need to do that. Like I think that was fine. This is a very skinny track. Like it's thin, like it's hard to overtake. It's it's just not. It's small, it's skinny, it's Bella
Yeah.
Hadid, like sometimes that's gonna happen. You're gonna go off into the gravel when you're battling.
Well, I
It,
also think my thought process is that Ferrari was just because of the safety car and the cars were very bunched up. That
Mhm.
if Charles Leclerc did get a penalty, it may have put him. I don't know if it would have put him out of the points, but it would have put him like he would have lost a lot of points if
Yeah,
because he would have dropped a number of spots. And so I think in their mind they're thinking it's not
they're
worth
being
it for
safe.
us. They're
Yeah,
being safe. They're like, let's just take the P6 and
yeah,
call it a day and not even risk the penalty.
yeah.
But still, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if
I
that
don't
was a
think it would have
penalty.
been.
I don't know, but we'll
But
never
I
know.
will say, in their defense, the FIA for the past, year and a half has been so inconsistent and just like the biggest problem and threat to Formula One, frankly. So, like, I understand them being scared because, like, him potentially losing out on points or only scoring like 1 or 2 points is a lot worse than him finishing in P6. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like,
Exactly.
especially when they have just not been performing that well. Like, this was a win for them.
Right.
Not for him. He was very upset, obviously, but like it was still a win for the team. And that's what they're looking at. They're playing the team game. They don't
Yep.
want Charles and Lewis, battling each other very
Yep.
much. But
Exactly. Well, speaking of Lewis, P4, impressive. Impressive performance from 12th to 4th. Like safety cars helped him, definitely got him back into the fight, but like strong race.
yeah,
Was proud of him.
I think
Happy.
it shows it shows his oh my God, I just forgot the word. Experience. That's the word. It really today really showcases experience where he like took perfect advantage of the safety cars and of the different like incidents within the track or like people fighting, battling, whatever. He always was able to take advantage in a very advantageous way to himself. So it just kind of it was I wouldn't say Lewis masterclass, like that would be a little crazy to say finishing P4, but like it definitely was like Lewis flexing his like,
Yes.
hi, I'm a 7-time world champion, he was flexing his muscles
Racing is
there.
all about like taking the things that are given to you, like
Yeah,
maximizing your opportunities. And he definitely did that. Strong from Alex. I mean, P5 again, like he is doing so well.
I know. I'm so happy for him.
He really is.
Truly.
It's awesome to see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Alex Albon redemption arc. That's
Yes.
that's my reputation era driver of the season, honestly. A lot of
Well,
people were saying Yuki. I know you love Yuki. It's Alex Albon for me. I'm sorry.
no, that's
Even though
okay.
Yuki is finally in the Red Bull, I get that. But
Well, he did get a point, which was great. We talked about that before. Strong. I mean, it was a it was like damage control, damage limitation from
yeah.
Yuki. Like just
Yeah.
doing what he had to do to get 1 point. The Red Bulls sandwiched the points.
Hmm.
We didn't really talk about Max,
Oh,
but
that's really
Max
funny.
did fantastic.
Oh, yeah. But
That move at the beginning was the move
it
that won
sealed
him
his
the
race.
race. Yep.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
just another fantastic race from Max.
Yeah.
He's truly one of one.
Yeah, 100%. And
Genuinely.
I like again, I'm not a Max fan, but I can obviously like give him his flowers. I remembered the phrase this time. I can always give him his flowers because I think he's incredible. I don't think it's just about the car, the team. I think it's also about him. So,
Totally.
uh,
100%. Any other people you want to talk about? Any parts of the race you want to talk about before we get to the questions?
I'm racking my brain right now,
I
and
mean,
it's empty.
I think we kind of hit all the
Yeah.
big stuff. The Fernando's radio where he was like, I can't even remember what he said, but he
He
was
he
just
said he pulled a Charles Leclerc. He said, "I am
yes.
somehow the unluckiest guy on this planet," or he said, "Driver in the world." That's what he said, which was really really funny to me. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Yeah, I was gonna say
He's
he's
not
not wrong.
wrong. He's
No,
not wrong. I have a lot of hot takes about Fernando Alonso though, like not in a bad way per se, but like I don't really pay attention to him during races unless he's like genuinely doing something insane. Like yesterday during qualifying, I was
yeah,
like, "Oh my goodness, hello, sir." But normally I just kind of
he's
tune
in the
out.
background for you.
Yeah, he's
Every person has that. Like every person has like the group of drivers that just are like sort of you forget about them until they're doing something like that you really
mhm.
makes you pay attention.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think it was a good race. I think it was a really good race without like, people were actually, this is something that I wanted to talk about, but briefly, I know a few races ago, I forgot what race they were calling boring. They were calling it boring. And
Oh, it was
there was a
Japan.
lot of people that said, what?
I think it was Japan that they were saying.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely like Japan. And they were like, the only reason you thought it was boring is because people aren't crashing and you guys just like want to see people like potentially getting hurt, which I don't disagree with that sentiment, but here we go. We had a very exciting race, a very good race where nobody was injured. Yes, there were DNFs, but like nobody was injured. There were no crashes during the race. And it was exciting. And so I would like to disprove all those people that said you only look for excitement like through crashes and injuries. You're wrong. You're wrong. That's
Well,
it.
also, it's all about like, as we said before, the pit stops, the strategy. Like when you have to pit a lot, and it's like, what tires do we have left? Like some people are on
Mhm.
old tires, some people are on new tires. Like that's what keeps the racing interesting because there is that like offsetting, and that's fun.
Yeah. That's also why I love Ruth's commentary at all times. I love her as a person, but like I love hearing her take as like the strategy queen,
Yeah,
obviously. I love whenever they're like, okay, now we're cutting to Ruth Bescom. I'm like, yes, thank
love it.
God.
I know she is the
Thank God.
best. She is so.
Hmm.
It's so fun to hear from like the people who've actually worked strategy on the pit wall because
Yes.
yeah, obviously they have the expertise that we or that I do not have.
Yeah. In my opinion, they have the coolest job in the paddock, period. Like the strategist specifically.
Yes.
I think that's so cool. Like I love it because really they're the ones making and breaking the race. Like if a driver like goes off and does something on their own, okay, that's fine. But at the end of the day, they're telling you what to do. Like they are instructing you on what to do. The drivers are executing it and doing what they got to do. But everyone else in that paddock is less important to me than a strategist.
Yep.
So just my
I
take.
I agree. Okay, let's get to some of the questions. So yeah, someone asked, do you think McLaren should have swapped Lando and Oscar? We both
Yeah.
agree no. Um, let's see.
And before anybody comes for me, you can literally see the two McLaren hats in my background. If you're a video listener, if you're an audio listener, I have two McLaren hats up and only one Ferrari. Okay.
I mean, I think, yeah, I'm always of the belief of just like, I don't love a driver swap in general.
Yeah,
I may let them race like
I agree.
95% of the time.
100%.
Thoughts on Ollie losing his lap time in Q1? I mean, we kind of already touched on that. It was tough.
Yeah, I think if the numbers say that he was late and didn't, make it before the red flag, that's it. The numbers don't lie. It
Yep.
sucks. They should have called it
It
faster.
sucks. Yeah.
They should have maybe been a little more transparent to the audience, which is something that I can always critique about. That would be the FIA, not the broadcast. But if they had put the numbers up on the broadcast, I'm pretty sure nobody would be arguing.
Yeah.
So it
Uh,
sucks, though. I wish he made it through.
right. Why pit Oscar from second to make him drive back to third and give away title points? I feel like the
I just think it
Oscar
was a bad call,
I
frankly. I
think it
don't
was a bad
know.
call, but also I feel like the kind of like critique on Oscar in the recent years is his tire management. Like he's not
It's
as
not good.
good at managing his tires than other
I agree.
drivers. And so I think he kind of got through his tires a little too soon and he kind of
Mhm.
needed to pit, you
Yeah, no,
know?
I think it was like a mutual decision. I think it's
Yeah.
just again with the biased broadcasting, they're not showing us that. So to us, or to especially to Oscar fans, it kind of looks like they're like, oh my God, again, they're prioritizing Lando, blah, 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 blah. No, I think he
No.
needed new
Yeah.
tires.
He
And they're
he
not
needed new
showing us that.
tires. And he did say there was that one radio where he said something to the
It was
effect of
way
like,
early on. I
yeah, he
know,
was
I know
like,
what you mean.
this
It was
isn't
really early.
this is ambitious or this isn't going to work or something like
Yeah,
that.
he
So yeah.
said plan A is ambitious.
Yeah.
And they were on like lap like 15 though. And
Yes.
this happened way later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um,
Um, yeah, he's not. He's also like very early in his career still. Like not everybody pops out the womb, gets into an F1 car, and has like Charles Leclerc level tire management. It's just
yeah.
not going to happen. He will get there. Lando's not the greatest ever at managing his tires either. He just likes going on like ruined tires. It's not that he's like maintaining them. He's just really good on trash tires for
Yeah, he
some
is
reason.
he is good at he is good at it. So yeah, so I think it was, Oscar needing new tires. And I mean, he was making it through the field. He was and he got unlucky with the safety cars and all that kind of stuff. Like that didn't play into his favor. But that's just kind of how, again, we said this 1,000 times. Like that's just how it goes.
Yep.
Sometimes the
Sometimes
strategy
strategy
works.
calls aren't good. Sometimes they are. He
Yep.
also, ended up from that first pit like in the middle of so much traffic. And again, love Oscar, but sometimes I feel like he could work on his aggression levels a little bit more. And like he probably could have passed those people and been in clean air maybe a little bit earlier.
Mm.
I think he's an incredible driver. I think he just needs to just punch it a little bit
Yeah.
more
It was
sometimes.
fun to see him have to like overtake almost every lap. He was like overtaking
Yeah,
somebody new and like that kept the race
I love it.
fun and interesting.
Yeah, of course. But then, of course, you don't want to like risk this car that should be, P1 through 3, and he's passing it like a back marker and crashes by accident, like, or not
Exactly.
by accident, it would be his fault. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Definitely. Okay. Should Hamilton have given Leclerc DRS so that he could have defended from Albon?
It's his choice. If they didn't call the
Well,
strategy,
and
then
also we're forgetting the part where Ferrari told Charles Leclerc to give the place back to Alex Albon. Like
right.
it wasn't
Yeah.
gonna work. So
Yeah.
no, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
But also, I just think in general, like, unless the team is telling you to do so, why would you choose to do so? I know Carlos chose to do so, way back when, or yeah, Lando, Carlos, chose to do so way
Mm.
back when with Lando. But it's also like, he chose to do it because he didn't want Max to be anywhere near him. Like, that
Yeah,
was literally why.
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. Do you think Ferrari is happy to have Lewis, or do you think they wish they had Carlos still?
I think they're still very happy to have Lewis. Are you
I do too.
kidding?
I do too.
I don't think the issue right now is Lewis Hamilton or Charles Leclerc,
It's the
frankly.
car.
Well, Charles' attitude a little bit, but no, yeah, it's the
Charles
car.
Leclerc's always had this. He is who he
It's
is.
a little worse this year, I
You think
think. I
so?
don't
Oh, I
know.
feel
Maybe I'm
like
becoming more annoyed of it because I'm just so sick of complainers.
oh I feel
Which
like
is so
he's
funny because I do claim to be a Ferrari fan. I really do claim it. Although again, the hats are not telling that story. But I think I'm much happier with my little Oscar land where he just doesn't really complain. He just
yeah,
does his
Oscar is
job.
the least likely. He's definitely one of the least likely. I think also it's just the car is their biggest enemy at the moment. The car
Right.
is not good and it is
Yes.
holding them back and it is so frustrating. And as a fan, it's just like I feel like it's
Yeah.
just the same story every single year. Like, why can't we get it together?
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about their livery sucking. We can talk.
Yeah,
Did
talk
you
about that.
see Nora's video pretending that she was Frederick Vasseur on like the radio with I think he was with Lewis. That's what she was doing. And she was like, no, the car's fine. I don't know what you're talking about. It is all you. It is all you. We are fine. P11, great job. And it sent me to oblivion. I was like, yeah, it's the damn car.
Yeah,
Like he's,
it's
it's almost like they're gaslighting Lewis and Charles and being like, well, like you could have made better decisions. Like, well, you could have made a better car. I
yeah.
don't know what to tell you. But
It's tough out here. It's tough out
yes,
here, and I don't. I just yeah. It was also it's interesting to like. I feel like most. I don't know how you are as a fan, but I feel like with me, it's like right now I have like the drivers who are in contention for the championship. So I have like my favorite in that group
yep,
that I root for. And then you have like the drivers that you're like, okay, maybe they could get a podium. And like I have like my drivers in that group. And then I have
yep.
like the drivers that like are like points are good. You know, it's like all kind of like
I
stayed
have,
weird.
yes. There are certain people I root for in certain scenarios, like quite
Yes.
literally. Like, I want Oscar to be world champion. That's who I'm
Yes.
rooting for.
Me too.
I want Alex Albon so desperately to get a podium. I'm also extraordinarily happy if Charles or Lewis get a podium. I don't think they're going to be world champion this year, though. So they're in a separate bucket. And then I'm like super happy when Yuki gets points. I'm definitely rooting for him to get points. And
Yep.
that's like my little, and I'm happy for Carlos too.
Yeah.
Happy for Kimmy
Yeah.
and Isaac.
Same.
Everyone else, I don't really pay attention to. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, but
But
like
it is,
there are
yeah.
certain people,
Yes.
certain
And you
people.
kind of have to be realistic about the situation at hand. And so for me, I'm like, realistically, Ferrari is not in the fight for the championship at the current moment. Could things change? Like, I guess, sure, there could be a miracle, but like, let's be realistic here.
Yes,
That's not going
no,
to happen. I don't
like
think
they're gonna
so.
be fourth place
Yeah.
at this rate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So Oscar is the one that I'm, cheering for the most. It doesn't mean he's my favorite driver necessarily. I mean, he's not, but he's a driver that I'm going to root for the championship.
right.
And
He's my favorite driver,
I think it's great. I mean,
personally. Favorite driver is him, and favorite team is Ferrari. And you're allowed to have different.
yes.
I hate when people
Yes.
say you can't be a McLaren and a Ferrari fan. I never said I was a McLaren fan. I said I was an Oscar Piastri
That's
fan.
that's
These are both
fine. Yeah.
Oscar hats.
Yeah.
Like,
Everyone's
don't get it
entitled to
twisted.
root for who they want to root for. That is my belief. And
Wait, can I quickly grab my Oscar Piastri blanket?
oh my God, love it. For those who,
Wait, I'm too short to like actually. There
that
we
is
go.
so good.
Yeah,
Caitlin
this
has
is my
a
comfort
blanket
blanket.
with Oscar and herself.
Me.
Love
Yes.
it. It's so fun.
Yes. I didn't buy it for myself, to be very fair. I am conceited and love myself. However, I didn't do that. That was my friend.
I love it. I love it. Okay, anything else from the race weekend you wanted to touch on before we call it a wrap?
Not
No?
from F1 race weekend.
I know it's the
No.
start of a triple header. We got Monaco next weekend. We have
We have to
Barcelona the
save
week.
our energy. I'm going to Spain,
Yep, you'll be
which
there,
I'm
which will
so hyped about.
so fun. I can't wait to, get all your content on the ground, which will be so
Yes, I'm so
good.
excited.
As you mentioned, we have the Indy 500 as well next week. Well, I guess this week when this comes out.
Oh yeah.
We have our interview with Pato that will be out on Wednesday on YouTube only interview. So make sure to check that out if you are interested. How are you feeling about the Indy 500?
Every time I choose to root for one of my friends, they are so dastardly impacted by me rooting for them. I am a bad luck charm. I am a bad luck charm. I will let the people figure out who I am referring to, but
Don't speak badly about
when
yourself, Caitlin.
when I root for somebody, it goes so wrong for them.
You're being like Charlotte Claire. You gotta speak positive thoughts.
I think I am being like I sit there and I'm so locked in on their laughs. And it's not like I for context for everyone, I've been to many an IndyCar race. I've interviewed many of the drivers. Love Pato to death. Pato is not impacted by this at all.
No.
He is amazing, incredible. Love him so much. But yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like the one person I'm like, oh, I really want them to do well. Like they
Yeah.
deserve to do well. Like I text them good luck. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh no. Oh
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Well, anything's possible next
Yeah. Ah,
weekend and or this
well,
weekend. And it'll
yeah.
be fun. It'll be fun. It's
It'll
gonna
be
be
fun. I think I'm very excited for the Fast 12 today.
yep.
I'm really nervous to watch Last Chance Quali, but that's okay because we're recording on Sunday. If people,
Yep.
I'm assuming people know this, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think also if you guys did not watch IndyCar qualifying for the 500, that's totally fine. It is a pretty complicated process for those who have never watched before. Just know that today we're figuring out who gets pole and who does not race. So
Yep.
that's why I'm stressed.
Yep.
Two very different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So this weekend when this comes out, it'll be a very, full motorsport weekend. So I'm sure it'll be fun for everybody to follow along and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Do you have a
I'm so
prediction for
excited.
Monaco? Do you have who you think's going to win?
I think it's going to be one of the McLarens for sure, qualifying pace wise. Um, I don't really, yeah. I think maybe I'm going to give it Oscar. I'm going to
I'm
give it
going to
an
give it Oscar
Oscar.
too.
I think he wants a bit of a reputation moment or reputation, yeah, reputation moment for he fumbling the start today. It wasn't that big of a fumble, but I know he's annoyed. Like there were a few quotes that were literally coming out while we were talking. I was getting notifications where he's like not very happy with himself. So I'm kind of hoping it's Oscar. I would always say Charles for Monaco, but he got it last year. His car is just not there this year. So
Exactly.
what are we gonna
And
do about it?
Oscar did well in Monaco last year, got on the podium.
Yep,
So I think it's a track where he's, feels comfortable,
comfortable.
feels good. So I think, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you. But anything, as we know, anything can happen
Yeah.
in
I
Monaco.
also know I just want to give a very casual shout out to Liam Lawson. He's moving to Monaco this week
Oh, fun.
while preparing for the Monaco Grand Prix.
That's a lot of stuff
Um,
going on at
so
once.
good for him. Good for him. That's very stressful. Moving is very stressful. So I hope he has a good time doing that.
Yes, yes. Very excited. Very excited for all that. I think there's going to be, obviously, you'll be in Spain. I think there's people going to the Monaco GP.
Oh,
So I'm
so
excited
many
to see all the
people.
content,
Hmm.
which will be
I
fun.
almost went to Monaco and then I was like, that's a lot of money to be spent. I'm going to just go to Spain
Yeah,
and I'm happy with that decision.
I'm excited for all your content. Well,
I'm so
Caitlin,
excited.
thank you so much for being on the
Thank you.
podcast, for filling in for Hannah.
Yeah.
Obviously, we work together. I don't know if that's we were,
Worked, air
yeah,
quotes. There's air
in
quotes going up
quotes
right now,
for a
guys.
long time. So it was great to have you on, especially a race recap, which is always the most,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best time to have someone
Yeah.
like you on because you've got your takes, you've got
Thank you. Yeah,
your
I'm
thoughts.
very opinionated. And also, the one and only other time I've been on fan behavior was the day after CODA 2023. I had no voice. I rocked up to that recording with my hoodie up. I was down tremendous.
That was also
Absolutely tremendous.
before we did YouTube. So that was probably for the, like
Yeah,
we were
I
just
walked
audio
in and I
only.
said, video, and you were like, no, and I was like, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coda gets a little wild, guys. You should go to Coda
It
this year.
does. It does. Can you let everyone know where they can follow
Yeah,
you, see your content, all the things, please?
I post primarily on TikTok, so it's Caitlin underscore Aria. Like she'll put my name because I know there's a million ways to spell Caitlin. You're more than welcome to follow me on Instagram. Sometimes I'll post things to my story that are hot takes, or it's mostly just pictures of myself. So if you just want to see pictures of me, you are welcome to follow me on Instagram as well. But I'm primarily on TikTok, and yeah,
Love it.
that's it.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Everyone should follow you too because you have I love all your like marketing
Oh, thanks.
motorsport crossover content. I think that's very
Yeah.
interesting.
I appreciate it. I put some of the takes in here, frankly, because
You
we
do.
made really
You
good
did.
callbacks to videos that I've made. So
Yes,
that's
exactly.
good. Yeah,
Um, well, I don't know if you know how we end our show.
I don't.
Uh,
Tell me.
we everyone, well, we always say enchanté to end
Okay.
our
I can
show.
say that.
We ask all of our guests who come on to say it as well. So whenever you are ready, just hit us with an enchanté.
Hold on. I should get my hoodie out of
No,
the
it's okay.
closet. I have one. Enchanté.